Hi, my name's Anthony Beck. I'm from the Ordnance Survey, and I'm going to give you an introduction to our presentation for FIG Working Week, which is about generic concepts to support country profiles, LADM implementation, and indexing within formal land registers. So, what's a land register? It's a reflection of a social contract. As Enmark, McLaren, and Lemon say, land administration is about people. It's about the relationships between people, places, and rights, and the policies, institutions, and legal regulations that govern this relationship. So, a land register is an official record describing rights in land, principally framed through ownership. Registration is how, as Wikipedia describes, how you essentially register these ownership, possession, or other rights into a system, so a registration piece. But it also provides evidence of title, facilitates transactions, and prevents unlawful disposal. So there's a reuse, derivation, or evidential piece. Now we're going to look at a conceptual approach to digital land registration where we're going to define generic concepts that support registration. It's applicable to any jurisdiction in the world. We'll deal with some of the foundational concepts from LADM, the parties, rights, and land. So land, in terms of a land register, describes a thing which has a spatial extent that defines a right or rights that's held by a party. Real rights in land describe the nature of the things that parties, people, can do with land, and that's the legal definition of land as a movable property. And it's this registration of real rights of land which is of interest to a land register. And parties, these are the things that can hold registrable rights which are defined by land. We'll then go into how we can build parties' rights and land relationships and how these can be grouped together to form even more kind of complex grouping themes. We'll also talk about how we build up the concepts to deal with transactional changes to the register and the roles that different parties can play for these different actors. There are those relationships between those parties who hold a registrable right, a grantor, and someone who, i.e. the person who's selling land, and then the grantee, someone who's going to benefit from a change to the land register itself. But there's also a number of supporting actors who provide credence-based services, so solicitors or notaries, cadastral surveyors, and registrars. And then there's a registration piece itself. Now, clearly, each jurisdiction will have its own registration criteria, and it's broadly two methods of how legal instruments or deeds are dealt with, which is through a register of deeds, where the facts within the deed are recorded as part of the registration process, or a registration of title, where the registration of the rights consequences contained within the deed are recorded against a title record. In our example, a register of deeds approach is taken. And then is how you derive products from your registration process. In this example, we'll look at the derivation of a title certificate. So we'll identify all the deeds that affect the owned land. We'll determine a relationship between those deeds, validate that the seller actually owns that land and can sell it, identify what predial benefits, i.e. what rights the owned land has over other land, and identify what beneficial rights third parties have over the owned land. And all of these will be supported by specific indexing. And so we can show how our man in black here, who's demonstrated through a title certificate that he owns some land, will dispose that land over to the lady in red. So ultimately, the lady in red will have a title certificate that demonstrates that she is the owner of that land. Thank you. Looking forward to speaking to you in a few weeks' time. Take care.